Well, I've been wanting a good place to store some leftover ties and other bits of wood. And I thought, well, what better way to do that would be on a little flat car display here on the Crow's Nest Railroad. And this is thanks to Scotty, who gifted me a steel frame and wheel set. It's not a gauge I can use here on the railroad, so I thought, let's spend a couple hours in the afternoon. Let's put together really quick an easy build of a little flat car and storage for our bits of lumber. So let's get busy. Hope you can join us. Well, here we are in our happy place. We're in the shop, and we're going to take this car. It's a steel frame car, currently 7.5-inch gauge. And just like the rear railroad, we're going to use whatever scraps we've got laying around to put this together. So here you can see I've got a variety of 3/4 inch stock. I've got some 1.5 inch. This piece is cedar. Most of this is pine. I got a couple of poplar pieces, all cut off stuff. I have some 3/4 inch conduit straps and a piece of 7/8 dowel. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to build a frame around the outside with that cedar, 1.5 inch cedar, and that'll be our starting point, and then we'll plank it from there. And the idea here is this is going to be as down low, cheap and dirty as we can pull off, because this is going to be a display unit. It's not going to carry anything heavy like humans. It's not going to be running on the Crow's Nest Railroad. We're going to have to make up a little piece of track for it to sit on. So boom, boom, we're just going to try and make this a fun, little, easy, one-episode project. So let's get busy. First thing we're going to do is get rid of this. But let me show you the suspension on this. It's got a bearing, but it looks like it's got a screen door spring wrapped around the bearing housing to give it suspension. But anyway, for now, we're going to just put some scraps together and get her going. So let's start with that 1.5 inch frame around the body, and we'll pull that coupling bar off the front. I think the easiest way to just build the trim around here will be to have this upside down. And I'll take the measurements. That way I know it'll be flush with the top when we lay our boards across. Okay, a few hits on the chop saw, and we've got our little frame. I think I'm going to try using some really small deck screws in here just to tack it together. I'm going to put some exterior type bond in there as well. Slight change of plan. We're going to use the nail gun instead of screws. So we got our stop block set up. Let's cut a bunch of planks. Next, we're going to attach these planks that we've cut. I'm going to put a little dab of exterior glue and fire a couple of brads in there. I'm not trying to be uber precise on this project. It's supposed to be quick and easy. But I am going to use the clamps. I'm going to clamp the two end pieces and one in the middle to start with, and that will make sure that this frame doesn't droop down below the top of the steel on the car frame. And once I get a few of these in place, then I can take these clamps off and we can keep going. So hit it with a little glue. Not too much. Looking good. Let's do the other end and we'll work toward the middle. All right, excellent. Time to get the end brackets mounted. And let's cut our dowels using the same stop that we used to cut the planks. And we'll drill a tiny hole through the dowel. And we'll put a little finish nail in. And we'll clip it off. And grind that tip just a bit. And we'll drop it in. Well, moments like these let me appreciate my father more and more. Thanks, Dad. When I was a young man, I bought my first house. It was in the early 70s. He made a trip out and he dropped off some tools and just a bunch of hardware supplies. He put them in these cans and he labeled everything, and he would tape a sample of what it was. Here's some lath nails. Here's some 4-penny finish nails. And I've used these cans all my life. This was my dad's rule. You can see George Ferris written in behind the slide. And he not only gave me a love of carpentry and plenty of lessons, but he set me up with a bunch of tools and supplies to get started caring for my own home. And when my daughter got her first home, I tried to do the same for her, giving her some tools and supplies. In fact, she even has the table saw that my dad had and gave to me, and then I passed it on to my daughter. So for those of you that love building things and you loved it at an early age and were taught by your parents, thank them. My dad's no longer here, but I think of him every day. Thanks, Dad. Well, since this will be out in the weather, let's oil it up a little bit. And there's our regauged display track and our flat car. Well, let's take it outside. And there it is. Now, I don't know if this will be its permanent home, but for right now, it's going to park here. And we need to start putting it to work because I've got some old ties and other odds and ends of little sticks to store. Well, that's going to wrap up this project. That was a fun one. It just was a few hours in the shop, and thanks to Scotty so much for that frame and wheel set. We've got a very functional little display piece here. It's going to store some old tie stock and some other things. Well, Kepler and I are going to say so long. Thanks so much for watching. See you right here next time.